essential. We have essential workers in the time of this pandemic. I want to tag this election as an essential election.
So it is so special. A little history lesson. In the U.S., did you know? So in 1789, which was the first election year, we only had 13 states. And so at the time, the states determined the voting requirements. And at that time, there was basically, you had to be, a white male, everybody knows that, but also a property owner. So you had to be a property owning white male. And that only left about 6% of the population could vote. 6. So 6 out of every 100 people. That's pretty bad. Were able to vote. Okay, so fast forward, that went on for almost a lot of years. Basically, they eventually got rid of the property requirements, but there would be poll taxes. So you could, we go to the polls, well, you'd have to pay a tax to go to the polls in most states. Therefore, it was hard for everybody to have a right to vote. How much? I don't know. It depends on the state. 1870, as most people know, voting rights were given to all races, right? That's when the Jim Crow laws actually began at the same time in most southern states, which made it really difficult to vote and do things because that's when segregation happened. And then women didn't even have the right to vote until 1920. That's only been 100 years, right?
Yes.
And non-whites have only been able to vote for 130 years? No, 150. And even then, we can agree that even though the law was passed, it didn't mean that most felt they could actually vote, right? And the poll tax payments, get this, the poll tax payments didn't actually get abolished until 1964. So until the 1960s, you had to be able to afford to pay a tax to go vote. And then if you were under 21, you couldn't have voted until 1971. And so most people don't realize that because we've forgotten that. Like, it is precious to be able to vote. And if we don't exercise the right, then it can be taken away from us easier because people care less about that right. And you think, it would never get taken away. I promise you, if certain politicians could, they would have certain rights taken away at times to help their voting numbers and so forth. And so, yes, it could happen. And it would happen if people don't exercise that right. So we have to vote.